Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final one-shot here of 2019 for Roleplay, the final of the decade. I like saying that, even though it just means nothing. Time means absolutely nothing. There will be a new decade in 8 days, 9 days, something like that. Don't math on me.
Welcome to Roleplay, where time doesn't matter because we just made it up.
That's true. It doesn't matter.
Have you guys seen the debates about whether the new decade starts in 2020 or in 2021?
No.
Some
I'm
people
pissed
believe
off
that
you would. Why is that even a thing?
will be
Why?
the end of the
Stop.
decade
No,
and
don't
not
even
the
introduce
beginning of a
that.
new
Why
decade.
would you even talk about that? Does it
Because it's
now I have
pissing
to
you
know.
off. So anyway, some people think that
When does it start?
Surely,
Does it start
surely
on
not.
2020 or 2021?
I don't know. You should.
It depends
go
on
look
what you
at
think of
the
year
fights about
zero.
it.
Exactly.
Is the very first decade year 0 through the end of year 10? Or is it year 0 through 9? In which case we're behind already.
He's so mad. He's like, why?
It's got to be zero. Yeah.
The
0 to 9.
2000s didn't start in 2001. It was.
Yeah,
True.
well, when you're born, you're not 1 year old yet. You're still 0, so we kind of have to count up from 0. Anyway, I'm sorry, JP. We've ruined
Welcome
your
to the
day.
show, Dodger. I'm glad to have you here. It's been a great time. I mean, a bad time without you on the show for so long, and we're glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Newly transplanted to London town. How's I've heard you've just had a great time getting everything working over there, and it's been a really successful move this past month. to
Yeah,
London.
internet has, it was crazy. We moved in. We have like 10 gigabit internet in
Nice.
here, like all ready to go. It's crazy. Like London,
They're taking care
they're
of
just
you.
like, top notch. They've got it all figured out. So this is all a lie. It's the opposite. My life is the opposite right now.
You
yeah,
moved
Sam
to
and I-
England and learned to lie.
Yeah.
Sam and I have been working off of a 4G dongle. That's the situation we're in right now, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't.
Okay. So we might just lose you at
but
random. Then is that what you're saying today?
We've had successful streams as long as nothing else in the house is on the Wi-Fi. So we've been pretty good about it.
Do I need to go talk to my ex-husband to tell him not to get on the
No, I
internet?
think we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good. So
All right.
Yeah.
I forgot that Asa and Morgan have like I said ex-husband, and they're like, wait a minute, they were married to before? Like, what's happening?
how salacious.
We got married
let
in a
me
video
just-
game, and then
I was
they
about to
got
say,
married
it's
in
not-
real life, and it's a weird thing here on the internet. Okay?
One of them is a
Welcome.
real and legally recognized
being
marriage, and the other is Dodger. So it's
True.
It's fine.
It's true. It's true.
It's a shotgun wedding, so they could go to London. That's all a real story. We could just make up stories with Asa and Morgan here. This is great. It's fantastic.
True.
They don't
We
know.
could do the same,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I guess
That's
so.
also true. You guys could make up literally anything
That's
you want.
true. That's true.
We are sat next to each other as well, so we can just write things down. You have absolutely no
Oh,
idea.
you're gonna
Oh
have
my
secret
God, you can pass
messages.
note.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
You should work that into the game.
Good Lord.
Brotherly
I mean, don't work that into the game.
Don't do that. You're breaking the time-space reality if you put his hand or your hand in his camera shot. It's too much. It's too much. We should probably introduce you guys. So I'll let you do that. Asa, why don't you start? Kind of tell everyone who you are, what you've been doing, and also I think it's maybe a surprise that you guys play a lot of tabletop RPGs. So maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I'm Asa. I'm here with my brother Morgan. We live in London as well, so we're calling in from the UK. And I'm an actor, but as you said, I enjoy playing a lot of games. I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons all my life, really, and especially in the last few years, me and my brother and some friends have played not just Dungeons and Dragons, but a few different RPGs. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've never done it online through like this, but I've seen things in a similar vein, so I'm excited to try it out.
Now, who DMs when you guys play? I'm curious. Is it Morgan or is it Asa? Or is it
We
someone
only
else?
played one campaign together, actually, and Asa was a DM, but it was a sci-fi one. What was it called? Stars Without Number.
Stars with that number
It was brilliant. He did a very good job.
was the first one we all did together, and I did a campaign with a couple of friends, and a friend of mine DM'd. But we've always done. We've always made our own campaigns. We've never used a rule book. I mean, like a campaign book, which I want to try. And I've now got some. So I'm just trying to get the time together with some people who all have like evenings every week. But
I'm
it's quite
curious
tricky.
about that too. Like how different it is to use a campaign book.
I can't
Wait.
work out where you get the depth from. How can you keep the world so open when you're just confined to those pages? But I guess I'll find out.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I was a player in a like a lined out campaign before, and I had heard about other friends who had used the same campaign, and I was like, oh, ours was completely different. I think it just depends on how like what the DM does with it.
Mm-hmm. I imagine
Yeah,
you can use it as
some
a kind of
adventures-
backbone. And,
Right.
And
Yeah, you
build off of
really
it.
do have to build on top of them, and some adventures make that easier, and some not so much. Like they're even within 5th edition, they're like wildly different in terms of quality.
Yeah.
And how much work you have to do. Yeah.
So I don't think we've ever done here on Roleplay in the 7 years we've been playing. I don't think we've ever followed a campaign book before, or like a set mission or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what they're called. Pre-planned guide
Module.
Module. Thank you, Adam. There you go.
You're welcome. Yeah.
We've always just
That's
had
why
DMs
I'm the
that
dungeon master.
It's true. Yeah. We've always just had DMs that kind of make their own stuff up. So, Morgan, what about yourself? Why don't you introduce yourself and kind of tell the world what's going on?
So I'm Morgan. I am a school teacher and a musician. I've spent a lot of the last few years traveling and studying percussion around the world. The first place I played Dungeons and Dragons was actually in Japan when I was there as a teacher. And I had to drive a few hours to my mate's house every week or every few weeks. And we'd spend an evening. And I was the only person that would want to stay up way beyond 2 because I just couldn't be able to drive back. So I just played and played and played and played. And it was brilliant. It was a lot of fun. And then when I came back, me and Asa played that sci-fi one. And I haven't played Dungeons and Dragons since, actually.
Oh.
So it's been about a year.
Mm-hmm.
But we've made lots of time for board games. We've got a game of Gloomhaven on the run, which is very, very difficult.
I've heard that.
Yeah. It takes a lot of time to set up.
Gloomhaven is the one where the box weighs like 400 pounds, right? Like it's a huge box with like a ton of components, and
and then you need to buy a box to put all of the components in as well. In addition to that,
someone recommended to me online because I posted. I was like, "Oh my god, this game is huge!" I saw it at Gen Con, and they were like, "Yeah, the only way you can do it is just to have a separate room, and you set it up once, and you just never use that room for anything except playing Gloomhaven." I was like, "Cool, I'll just go buy a new house, and that's fine." Yeah, right. Like, yeah, all right, cool, good.
Sounds like Warhammer.
Yeah.
It's set up
Yeah,
and I'm
right.
not moving it.
Yeah, Warhammer's too much. That's too much. I would always see.
This is where the terrain lives. We don't go into that room.
Yeah, I would always see photos of Jeff on Twitter where he would have like a Pelican briefcase that weighs a couple 100 pounds that he would take with him to tournaments. It was always ridiculous.
Yeah, he like traveled around with it. I was like, that's dedication. That's love. That's true love.
Yeah, he was into it.
Yeah, man.
Adam, we're going to be playing Dungeon World today, which is a game you made.
It's true.
You created this thing.
I did. Yeah, I am the co-creator of award-winning tabletop role-playing game Dungeon World.
You don't have to introduce it like that every time, Adam. Every time.
I do.
That's not the name
It's
of
the
it.
law.
It's just Dungeon World.
You don't even know how many awards it's won. So many that I have to call it that. And in fact,
Lord.
it's legal obligation that everyone else calls it that too. No, that's not true. Yeah, I'm really excited.
To play the award-winning role-playing game Dungeon World today.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's a game that we developed, my friend Sage and I developed several years ago, and it's a good one-shot game, and I like it for playing with people that either I haven't played with before or who haven't played with each other before, because there's a ton of room for me to just kind of like let you guys decide stuff. The only trick we're going to run into today is that all of that work was done in June?
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second. I'm trying to think. I think we were supposed to play sometime in October originally.
Yeah.
This show has been planned for quite some time. And we canceled it back then, but we made characters. Dodger messaged me yesterday. I was like, wait a minute, do we have like character sheets? And then she realized that she made her character named Nipnops. So that was a stark realization.
I could feel JP's stress when I was like, do we get like pre-made sheets or something for this? And he was like, Dodger, we made them together. You made it. You made the sheet already. And I was like, what? I don't remember this at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna kind of go through and we're gonna introduce you guys to our characters and not refresh our own memories here. That's not
at all. This is for you, audience.
This is 100%
Definitely
for the
not
audience
for
out there.
Dodger, especially.
Not for Dodger, especially, and or everyone else.
Yeah.
But Adam, I'll hand over the reins to you.
That's fine.
I'll hand over the reins to you. Adam, where should we go?
As I was doing a little bit of sort of prep for the session today, I was coming up with all this stuff based on my notes, and then I was realizing, like, if we don't do a quick recap of the characters and kind of what's going on for them, I'll end up in that situation where I'm like, and you pull off the hood and it's Jimmy, and everybody just stares at me like, am I supposed to know who this asshole is, or like what? And he's wearing a blue hat, and I'm like, come on, guys. So yeah, let's do that briefly. So I think the best way to do this is we'll go around and we'll get everybody to describe their character in the same way we did many eons ago when we were doing character creation. Give us your character's name, tell us your race and class, tell us what your character looks like, and we'll go around and do that, and then we'll read out the bonds that everybody has, because that stuff is kind of the most important thing, is like how you're bonded to each other. And I'll interpose some questions, and I'll remind you of a few things like NPCs maybe that we had talked about before we start. This would normally just be the last step in character creation before we play anyway, so it's totally a fine way of getting reconnected.
Cool. So
I'll do them in the same order we did in character creation, because I think each person built off of the person before them. So Asa, do you want to talk to us about Magnus Igneous a little bit?
Magnus. Yeah, sure. So Magnus is a dwarven cleric. He's old. I don't. No one really knows how old. He's grey, sort of hair, bald on top, long hair on the sides. Generally quite a sad looking man. He spent a lot of years on the road.
My notes for you were Magnus Igneous, old, bald, sad. So that's good. We're on the same page.
Yeah, to sum him up succinctly, old, bald, and sad. But as well as this, he's part of this cult, this quite kind of inclusive dwarven cult, which pray to the god of. I've got this written down somewhere.
I don't think we ever named your god. But,
no, we didn't. But then today I did some thinking, and Volos, it is
nice.
Called, which is the god of what lies beneath the earth, the rocks, the minerals, the golds, and the precious stones. And
we had talked a bit about Volox having a secondary sort of metaphorical layer to that, what lies beneath, that idea of like hidden strength, right? Because Magnus was like a fighter in the like holy fighting pits, right?
Mm-hmm. That is right. He is a fighter in the holy fighting pits. And yeah, the god prides on strength and power, and their rites are all sort of trials by combat and feats of strength, defeating each other, defeating other clans, going on battle, and that's what their god values. And so to him, strength is a virtue, and it's a part of him.
Yeah.
It's part of his clan. And so at the moment,
yeah, and part of you're about to say the thing I was going to ask you about. Yeah, go ahead.
That is exactly right. So his clan, they have a every 50 years or so, they have a festival, and at the end of which the dwarves have to go out, or during which the dwarves go out and try and find the most precious stone they can, the purest, the brightest, the rarest, and bring it back. And Magnus is currently on this quest, as he has been for the last 20 or so years, trying to find this perfect stone. So that's where we find him.
It makes me so happy when a player is like, I know that we're doing a one shot and we need like an obvious MacGuffin to have the whole plot rotate around. Here you go. Here it is. I'm highly appreciative of that. So that's Magnus. Dodger, would you like to explain to us Nipnops the elf, please?
Oh, that's right. You're an elf. I forgot about that.
I am. Nipnops
Right, and when we originally talked about elves, we landed clearly on the Keebler side, not on the Thranduil side.
The
that
Keebler
is
elf
clearly where we ended up.
You
Yes,
much really more Keebler than.
Listen,
Fine,
your
yes.
name is Nipnops, okay? It's not traditionally a
Keebler-esque
Tolkien-style
elf wizard. I've never played an elf wizard before in my life. I don't know why you would say that. And shout out to Mirror Shades. Nipnops found out about some very powerful and very forbidden books. Nipnops is all about learning new magic, and just really wanted to see what was going on in these books. Bored out of his mind. Other elves suck. People suck, right? So he hired a couple of rogue twins, Tia and Tamara. They've been renamed as of right now. Tia and Tamara.
One of them underwent a name change between when we made these characters.
I guess Timothy died, and now it's Tia. Let me go ahead and rename my. Isn't that a Disney IP? Should we be scared? Are the lawyers going to be?
I mean, Timothy and Tamara.
Okay, all right. Name it back. Pops back into existence.
Timothy and Tamara are rogue twins that I hired to basically sneak in and get these forbidden books for me. They vanished, and I was like, sick. I can't wait to learn all these spells that I'm totally not supposed to know how to do. And then I was suddenly arrested. I have no idea if the books were ever found. I have no idea if the twins were the ones who ratted me out. All I know is I was suddenly in jail, which was not really what I was going for. And I have now, I believe, been pulled out of jail, kind of.
Yes.
By another character who I will let him like describe himself.
We'd be remiss continuing without pointing out two things quickly. One, technically what you are currently undergoing is what's called quest arrest. So you had your trial, you were sent to prison, you've served part of your term, and now to prove your innocence, to like be freed from jail, you have to undergo a quest with your parole paladin, and if you are successful at that quest, you're allowed to leave jail.
God,
and your quest arrest is complete.
Buzzkill too. Fuck. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, you can't say the word buzzkill without conjuring up a paladin. So, Cassius, why don't we talk about you and your strange lineage? Tell us a little bit about Cassius.
Cassius Dogmar. Well, Mr. Cassius is head paladin of the Dogmar estate, and being the eldest son of Emperor Dogmar, he's going to sort of own a lot of land at some point. But I think being the eldest son and being sort of high paladin, he spent his life going to paladin school and paladin club, and he's really tired of it. And I think this might be the last straw, being sent on quest arrest as a parole officer. I mean,
especially with someone like Nipnops.
I know. I think Nipnops
I'm
really
delightful. Thank you.
Well, we'll see about that. And I think I don't really want to be a paladin. I'm really tired of all of this stuff, and I think I'm looking a little bit of Magnus Igneous's magic and the way he talks to his god, and I want a bit of that, really. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you're sick of your dad and your brother bossing you around, and maybe there's something to the philosophy of this cranky old dwarf.
Yeah. What's my brother's name? This is something that I think was quite funny. Douglas Dogmar.
That's right, Douglas.
Prince
Douglas Dogmar. Yeah, I have a note that your father isn't just Emperor Dogmar. He is a living god. He's the god emperor, Daddy Dogmar. And then your brother Doug.
So he is my paladin's god. He is my paladin's deity, and it's just I'm not digging.
Can you imagine having to worship your own parents for spells?
Yeah.
Like, Dad, can I borrow the Cure Light Wounds, please? No, you're grounded. God.
So we're going to see how that plays out, whether Dougie Doug and Cassius get on, and who ends up on the throne. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. No, we never really talked about it, but like, is your father like an eternal like God Emperor, or have we entered the twilight of his reign?
We're definitely in the twilight of his reign. I think
Yeah. Okay.
me or my brother are about to be God, and I'm not convinced.
I love it. Like, what did you inherit from your father? I got a coach. What did you get? Divinity. I'm a god now. Excellent. All right. So yeah, there is some question of who will become the new Emperor Dogmar, and whether or not Cassius is even interested in such a lofty position. But I don't know. We haven't really met him yet, but I get the impression that Dougie Dogmar probably wouldn't make a great emperor. But you know what? We'll figure it out.
You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Cool. Excellent. All right. So lastly, Mayfly. Let's talk about our wild card. So Mayfly is JP's character. JP, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Mayfly is a halfling thief. The look that at least was described as wanting eyes, messy hair, fancy clothes, and a moldable body, which I thought was a fun thing to say about a thief. In terms of connections to the other characters, he's a little bit nefarious. In terms of Mr. Knops, Timothy and Tamara are enemies of Mayfly, and they're the reason why he was arrested was because I snitched and told that Nip Knops was responsible for the thievery, the burglaring.
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't believe Nip Knops knows that.
What?
Yes, Nip Knops does not know that yet.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think only I know that, correct?
Correct. Yeah. One of the other bonds with Cassius is that you know that I am the reason for that, the reason that I snitched. But I don't know why you haven't arrested me yet, and why you haven't taken action on that.
Value to the throne at the moment.
Right. So I think that's kind of how I got looped into the group. In terms of the bonds with Magnus, I have a lead on where the stone is that you are seeking. So I've kind of got an idea with that. And then the other bond is that I've convinced Mr. Knops that I know where the book that you seek are. But I don't necessarily know if I do. I'm kind of making up as I go along to kind of lead you along. My
favorite part of the Mayfly other PCs matrix is how Magnus trusts Mayfly implicitly, but only because Mayfly has been poisoning Magnus with golden root.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. That is correct.
Slipping it into my morning tea.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, golden root is is it like a mind control root in this, or a persuasion root?
It's like I imagine you would have it in like a powdered form, and it's once someone has ingested it, the next person that they see, they will treat them as their friend and ally for a day. And so if you just keep doing it every day, then Magnus thinks that Mayfly is like a trustworthy friend, but really it's poison.
That's right. Yeah.
And have we figured out why we're all together at this point? In terms of like,
I think it all surrounds your quest, Magnus, and sort of the greater ramifications of obtaining the perfect stone, right? Like Cassius is interested in learning your religion and such has tied himself to that quest. Nip Knops is legally obligated to be with the rest of you.
I love it.
And it seems like Mayfly is angling for some lofty position, maybe, or some benefit in the future regime.
Yeah, there was
books that Nip Knops stole. Did they belong to my father? Is there a part of that as well?
There might have been. Yeah, I'm trying to remember all the story threads.
That sounds right.
We had some good ideas back then. It's a shame we didn't write a lot of them down. We just kind of said, "Oh, that's really good."
Coming back to us though.
Yeah.
Some of this action,
Yeah. I remember saying something really cool about the fact that I'm a thief who doesn't steal anything. I steal like ideas, or I steal like the most wanted. Like I stole a house from someone. but I forgot why.
Yeah,
I forgot what the
my
purpose
notes.
of that was.
My notes about Mayfly was that you steal things because it's fun, not because you want them.
That's right.
You try to steal things that either you or no one else has ever stolen before. So yeah, you said your most valuable theft was an entire house, which you gave back.
Yeah.
And you've always wanted to steal someone's heart's desire. So something that you don't particularly want yourself, but that someone else wants more than anything in the world, which is maybe why you're with Magnus and company, because if they do find the stone.
Wasn't that why you hated Timothy and Tamara?
Right, because they just steal for money.
Because they'll steal anything for money. And you were like, I remember you saying that.
Yep.
I have a note about a character who, and this isn't attached to anybody, and I have to assume that this is Dodger's fault, but I have in my notes an elf wizard named Flipper Chipper.
This is a Dodger thing.
A much beloved elf wizard who hates nip-nops.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I have a note here of a rival wizard.
Yes, there was a rival wizard who totally is really pious and believes in God, and everybody loves them.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. They're basically like a servant of the Emperor Dogmar, and that's maybe why you all don't like them very much. Okay, all right, everything's coming back together. Cool. Okay.
Look,
does anybody have
I came up with the names in the middle of the night. Okay. Yeah. It was nighttime.
It probably was.
And they're good names. I stand by them.
They're Jesse Cox level silliness. I think you're right up there with Jesse's Schloopin' Boopin'. It's good. It's fine.
Schloopin' Boopin' was a classic.
The greatest Star Wars character for sure.
Or Schloopin' Boopin'. Cool. All right. Yeah. So does anybody have any bonds that we didn't cover or that didn't come up? I just want to make sure we remind each other of them just in case.
I believe that Cassius is keeping a secret from me. Don't know what it is.
Oh, that's right. I think the secret is the books and Mayfly and like that connection.
Mayfly being a snitch. Right. And I also have a bond with Nipnops, which says his misguided behavior endangers their very soul. Wizards are dangerous, especially dangerous one. So that's
that's right.
Much detail I have there.
You really want to turn me into like a good member of society.
Yes, at the very least.
Dangerous wizards are dangerous.
I think Magnus is an idiot because he's religious.
That was one of your bonds?
That was one of my bonds. Magnus is woefully misinformed about the world, and I will teach them all I can. And I remember when we were talking about it, I was like, yeah, because I'm like a hardcore atheist. And Magnus is like the opposite. And I was like, no.
That's right.
Yeah. That.
I remember that.
And I also believe that Mayfly knows where the books are.
Yeah.
And I don't trust you naturally, being an atheist. So that's my bond with you, Nipnops. Mayfly, I will keep safe at any cost, thanks to that golden root.
That's right.
I trust you implicitly. Cassius, I'm trying to convert. I'm trying to get him down with the rocks and the earth.
Yeah, rocks not so much.
Stop worshiping your dad and worship these rocks.
Check out this rock right here. It's great.
Well, it's definitely my pet rock. A hard place, but, yeah.
Just like, really?
Yeah.
Is this religion?
Yeah, just Butterfly goes like, did I figure it out? Am I religious now? Excellent. Cool. Yeah. So I think we're square on all that stuff. For mechanics and for how the game works, it's super simple. The character sheet has all of the stuff that you're going to need. JP, if you want to pop yours open,
sure.
I will just describe to the chat and to you how the rules work. So in Dungeon World, you're going to just describe what your characters do. You're going to say, I cast a spell, or I fight this monster, or whatever. And based on how you're describing it, you're going to make a move. And every character in the game has access to the basic moves, which are just things adventurers do. So hacking and slashing, fighting in melee with monsters, parlaying with NPCs, shooting a bow, defending other characters. Those are all moves that everybody can do. The two that are kind of like different in this game that you might not recognize if you've only played games like D&D. Discern realities and spout lore are your two moves for kind of interrogating the world. So discern realities is the I want to know what's going on here. So my character looks around or asks questions or observes my surroundings. So I'll ask for a discern realities roll. If your character would know something that you don't know, if you're like, I'm a dwarf, my character would clearly know things about these dwarven tunnels. You roll spout lore, and then you can learn things about it that your character would know. So it's basically them just remembering things they already know about the world. And then everybody will have their own class moves, like lay on hands for a paladin, trap expert for a thief, casting spells for clerics and wizards. Those are all moves as well. So you have those, and when I call for a move, I'll say like, roll hack and slash, or I'll say roll defy danger, and I'll give you a stat to roll. You can just click on the name of the move, and it'll roll. And you're going to get a result somewhere between. There's three kinds of results. There's 6 or less, which means whatever you're trying to do, you don't do it. You fail at that thing, and I get to make a move. Something bad happens to you. If you get a 10 plus, it means you did the thing and it went well. And usually there's some kind of bonus or additional momentum that'll carry you forward from the move. But most of the time, because of the math of the game, you'll end up in the middle, which is 7 to 9. And that is you get the thing you want, but there's an additional cost or a price you'll have to pay or something like that. It's a complicated success, but it's still a success. So everything in the game pretty much revolves around those things. I'll call for moves. I'll say, okay, roll hack and slash or whatever. But if you want to make a move, if you're like, I really want to hack and slash this guy, you can say that too. You can say, I'd like to make the hack and slash move. And then I'll ask you, okay, what does that look like? What does it look like when your character does that thing? The game is predominantly like narrative focused. We're not going to use like a battle map. I might do like a crappy drawing to explain where things are, but there's no like movement rates or tactical map stuff. It's basically just describing cool things your characters are doing and moving through the game that way. You're going to get experience at the end of the game for exploring, for defeating significant foes, for recovering cool treasure, and for following your alignment and resolving your bonds. So as you're making choices for your character, as we're moving through the game, think about your character's bonds and how you might want to like resolve them. So for example, if Magnus found out that Mayfly had been poisoning him all this time and they had a scene where they came into conflict about it, they might both get a chance to resolve that bond into something else. It might be Magnus might have a new bond that is like, Mayfly can't be trusted. He was poisoning me this whole time. And Mayfly might have a new bond with Magnus that's like, I have to be more careful about how I treat Magnus. He's smarter than he looks. Right. So we'll talk about that at the end. And then also your alignment will give you a thing that if you do it at least once during the adventure, you'll get a point of experience for that at the end. And even though it's a one shot, I like to do XP because it's the reward structure of the game, right? It lets you know kind of what you are meant to be doing.
Sure.
So
it's fun anyway.
Yeah, and also, it's fun getting rewarded at the end, even if you can't spend it on anything. So unless anybody has any other questions or anything like that.
I have a question.
We can get started. Yeah, hit me.
So one of my paladin's moves is to have a quest. And I was sort of reading through it, and I put some things in. And I was doing a bit of reading. It says, this is something, especially on a one-shot, it just sort of happens from the very start. So I think if we begin with that, then it'll make some sense. And it said, I've written down here that the trigger is seeking a message from a god or deity. And I think I would like to discover the truth of my god or my power, or whether lack of god or power. And it's asking for 2 boons. And I think it makes sense to just have, where are the 2? Senses that pierce lies and an invulnerability to something like poison.
What are you invulnerable to?
I think
so you're to poison. Okay. Good. So anti Mayfly tactics.
Mayfly the character.
So remember if you lie in character, if you lie around Cassius, you have to tell us. You have to say like that wasn't true. Cassius, you know I'm lying. And Cassius cannot be poisoned.
Brilliant.
I like that.
But it says here at the bottom, you have to give me a vow, right, to maintain my blessing. Something I have
That's
to do.
right.
That you decide.
Yeah, I think in this case, because you're seeking out the truth of your own power, I think that you are required to like be careful, right? To judge a situation before you rush in. You are forbidden to act without assessing the situation first, right? You have to act with forethought.
Okay.
And so that is something that your quest demands.
Okay.
Understand your action before you take it,
Okay,
whatever that
I like
looks
that.
like.
Brilliant.
Cool. All right. Well, so I think we begin after a great mistake, a great failure. Magnus, you have this quest to retrieve the perfect stone, and you've been traveling with these people with Nip Nops and Mayfly and the son of the Emperor for some time, and as promised, Mayfly did indeed lead you to what you believe to be an appropriate offering to Volox. You have found the perfect stone, and you and your party were carrying it to the town of Lowfield, which is the last town on the Pilgrim's Road, Volox Pilgrim's Road, to the deep below, which is a sacred sinkhole where the various clerics were going to bring their offerings, and Volox would choose the perfect stone from among them. And you had it. You knew it. Like in your heart of hearts, you had finally found this stone. And then it was stolen from you. You were ambushed. You were ambushed in the night by strange folk who took the stone from you, and now you know that there's only one place that they're going. They're going to try to take it to Lowfield. They're going to take it to the deep below, and they are going to steal your glory. They are going to take all that hard work you put ahead of you. They're going to take it away, and they are going to get Volox's blessing and not you. So I have a couple of questions about this ambush situation. Cassius, you are a beacon of vigilance and light. How is it that you were unable to see this ambush before it happened? How did they trick you?
Is it nighttime?
Yeah, that could be part of it. Sure.
All right. Okay. I think there's always a period of time during the night where I just can't stay awake. It's just no matter how hard I try, and maybe that's something that people are aware of as well. So I let down my guard and I fell asleep, even though I knew that was going to be the case. Maybe I didn't want to tell any of you.
Okay.
Narcolepsy.
So is this just a regular, like, I try really hard to stay awake, but I fell asleep? Or is this a magical paladin slumber where you just can't be awakened, where you have this period of weakness?
I like the sound of the second one. I have a period of weakness.
So like the Emperor, I like this idea of like for his devoted servants, the Emperor Dogmar grants you unceasing vigilance, but demands an hour of your day in like comatose prayer. So you have this 1 hour every day where you just turn off, and you basically have to like you get visions from your father, and like everyone in the Paladin Order has this happen, and it's supposed to be like a guarded secret where you're like you can't let people know, but somehow they knew, right? They struck during your hour of weakness.
Yeah,
okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So they attacked at night during Cassius's hour of weakness while Cassius was asleep. Mayfly, there was something you could have done to prevent the ambush. You could have stopped this from happening. Why didn't you?
It was more interesting to see Magnus lose something than it was to see him gain something.
Right. Okay.
Cool.
So you could have stopped this ambush, and how did you know about it in advance, or did you just notice something no one else did? Like what advantage did you have that you could have used?
I think I knew that it was going to happen, but not necessarily the when and how, just that it was going to happen. And so when I started to notice, I don't know, us being followed or whatever, the ambush occurring, I kind of just like laid back and just put my arms up and legs up and like sat there and watched it happen and judged the overall heist, the thievery in front of me.
I like it. Okay. Now your ambushers used a forbidden magic to enact this ambush. Nipnops, what was it? What was this forbidden spell that they used, and what did it do?
It's basically like it's a spell that's an area of effect that disengages all magic in a specific area. Because Cassius forces me to cast an alarm around all of us every single night, and I have to like walk in this huge ass circle and like cast this alarm, and it's annoying. And but they had used a spell that disengaged all of our magic, so I couldn't even like cast invisibility on any of us or anything like that.
Right. Okay.
So
So
I
you
knew,
were
I
they
knew
have
that there
some
was
kind
something
of
that's not a spell that people can just do.
yeah. I love the idea that there is an anti-spell, right? That like they can cast it, and it's a forbidden spell, but it's a spell, but it destroys spells. That's good. Now I'm just thinking with like anti-magic missile, anti-Melf's acid arrow. Yeah, nice. Okay. All right. So without your spells, Nipnops, what did you like hide during the ambush?
Yeah.
Did you try to help?
100%.
Like
You're just
hiding.
I could feel the magic disengage. I'm not, I've got my skills. They are not for fighting. So I was like, well, this idiot's sleeping. I'm gonna hide somewhere. So I was in the bushes the whole time to get caught.
It must be difficult to be a paladin that has to like fall into an unnatural, unwakeable coma for an hour every day when you're also supposed to be watching over a criminal.
Yeah.
Like normally, Cassius, when you go into the paladin sleep, do you have to like handcuff Nipnops to a tree, or like what do you do about your ward while you're asleep, or do you trust Nipnops
I
enough to
assume it was like a magical bond.
It's not necessarily trust, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think she has any choice, really.
I think
Is prison magic afoot? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I think this is like a not quite a soul bond thing, but like something he can tell when I'm too far away.
It's like a tether.
And he can tell where I am.
Like
yeah.
one of those kid harnesses, but it's invisible and magic.
Literally, it's a magic kid harness, yeah.
Magic baby harness. I like it. Perfect. Okay. So yeah, Cassius, you can sense, and I guess this is both to your advantage and disadvantage. You can sense where Nipnops is at any given time, and I think if you focus on that connection on that leash, you can sense other things. So maybe there's like limited communication, or like you can sense Nipnops' feelings. And that's something that you have that connection. So Magnus, in your moment of need, when you had in your hands this perfect object ready to prove yourself to Volox, it was taken from you, and all of your friends either fucked off or were asleep. So did you try to fight your ambushers alone, or did you? I don't imagine you gave up, but like, did you have to surrender or like lose your life? Like how was that for you?
I feel like Magnus would not have let this stone go alive, so they would have had to knock him out. I think he would have fought to the death. I think, and the lack of magic probably meant that he is a cleric. He couldn't cast his spells, and that surprised him. And they tore it out of his hand or knocked him out. And, he awoke.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So how for Magnus, how long ago was this? Like, did you have the stone stolen from you like last night, or was this like a week ago and now you're almost in Lowfield? Like, how long ago did you lose your?
This was not quite a week, maybe a few days ago. And I'm still definitely reeling from it. I think he's gone very much inside his own head. He's sort of muttering to the stones more than he usually does. And he's not too sure what to do. He's kind of lost his purpose. He had this, and now it's gone, and he's lost his where to go.
Aww.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And
can you speak to stones? Is that a thing?
I can speak to stones, yeah. So I have as a dwarf, because my god is sort of god of the underneath. There's the connection there. But as a dwarf, I can cast a spell on stones to get answers from them in a very kind of rudimentary way. No kind of in-depth combos.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Even the perfect stone is a stone and not like a person or an animal. But you can conjure answers from stone and rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unfortunately, all you have around you are boring rocks, unperfect rocks, regular type rocks, and I guess with a lack of any other lead, right? There were no tracks. Like it is clear, especially to you, Mayfly. It's clear that this ambush was executed by immaculate professionals. They knew exactly how to counter your abilities. They knew when Cassius would be locked into the anti-vigil sleep. The communion with Papa, and they knew exactly what to do, and they left no calling card, no tracks. So the only place that this perfect stone has value will be in Lowfield. So without any other kind of leads, I think that's where the group of you are kind of arriving as we start the episode. So we fade in on a kind of narrow valley road, and the walls of this valley are just gray stone, and there's nothing about this place that would be interesting or out of the ordinary to your average person. But Magnus, you know that the road upon which you walk, the valley through which you pass, is a holy road of pilgrimage. Right? You're walking on the same road down into Lowfield that your ancestors in the Church of Volox have walked for generations. But everybody else is just kind of a rough rock road down in the distance. You can see kind of wedged into a crevasse at the end of the road. You can see a little town. Now, Mayfly, you've been to Lowfield before.
Yeah.
What crime did you commit in Lowfield?
This is where I stole the house.
Here.
This was where the house was, the mansion. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, cool. So you stole this house, but you gave it back. So like it's fine. There shouldn't
I
be
gave
any
it back
problem.
to the owner. No problem. Yeah, we're buddies
okay.
now.
All right. And the town itself is experiencing a sort of pilgrimage swell in that there are lots more people than would normally live here. There's a church to Volox. There is, of course, a church to the divine and glorious Emperor. Though it's much less used, and mostly it is a dwarf and human town. Probably not a lot of elves here, Nipnops. So expect some strangeness. So somewhere in this town, during this kind of rising holy festival of Volox, there are other priests who have come here with what they believe to be the perfect stone, right? And as you enter the town, we can see other dwarves dressed similarly to Magnus, other clerics in the similar garb, and they're like comparing the stones they've found, right? You see a pair of dwarves, and one of them is holding a sapphire the size of her fist, and the other has a diamond that they've cut as their offering to Volox, and the two of them are arguing about what's better. And so you come into this town, and I wonder, and maybe Mayfly, because you've been here before, where do you go to find, I guess, like lodging, or if you want to decide to go and hunt down these people that took the stone first? What do you think? You've been here, you've seen this place before.
Sure. I think maybe a question for the group, like, what is our immediate goal? Like, are we still down and out, Magnus, about the stone? Do we want to, get lodging, or are we on an immediate quest to go and find the culprits that stole it from us? Like, where's your head at? I think that would probably dictate where we go.
Cassius has never been here before, and I think, sort of owing to his bond to his god, he's going to play this very carefully.
Okay.
And I would be searching for information, because I'm not convinced at the moment. That's what I would stand.
Okay. Magnus, what about you?
And I think Magnus, he imagines. Well, I think he imagines whoever stole his stone was taking it here, and so I think by going here, he's now on the lookout. But he doesn't believe anyone would be silly enough to just walk out with it in the open. So I think he's wants to do some searching, ask some questions. And find out potentially what's going on.
Mr. Knops, what about you?
I don't really have a choice.
You're just here by,
But also,
by the tether.
I mean, but also, I think I'm just spending a lot of my time being like, where are you asking? You didn't even see them. You were asleep. Do you remember that? You were asleep for all of that. It was super helpful of you to be sleeping while we were attacked. That was really awesome. You, I think you were though.
I was speaking to my father.
Cool. That's also a really good use of time when we're being attacked over a fucking rock, by the way. Sorry. I know everybody's super into rocks here. My bad. But look, I'm just saying it was dark. We don't even know what these people looked like. Maybe we would know what they looked like if we like took a minute to sleep. Eat some food, you know? Just like chill a little bit.
So Nipnops, Lowfield is renowned for a particular kind of cuisine. Now remember, Lowfield is a town built around literally like a sinkhole that's supposed to go down into the underworld where Volox dwells. And there is some particular like cuisine that this town has you can't get anywhere else. What is it?
Oh my god. There's in the like sinkhole, they found basically a form of small flying fish. So at first they thought maybe there was water down there, but there was no water. It was just little flying fish underneath the ground. And so people started capturing these fish, and they taste like it's a really bizarre flavor, but people will come here because nobody can really describe what it's like. So yeah.
I think I'm sensing a lot of hunger through this leash as well right now, which is making me hungry.
You're right, Kat, because your stomach grumbles when Nipnops is like, I'm hungry. Let's get some food.
I'm so hungry. What if we ate first? That would be great. I wonder if there's like a cool thing to eat here. Who knows? We should probably look into that. That would be really cool. Bat's eyes.
Yeah, like Magnus, you've arrived early enough that, and I think as you walk into town, there's probably we see a cleric of Ox putting up. They're adjusting a sign. It's got a big wooden sign, and it says "Days until the Great Deepening." And it's like there's a big 0 and a 4, and he's pasting up a 3 over top of the 4. It kind of gives you a wave as you come into the town, which is all kind of clustered around this enormous sinkhole. And you can hear people singing and chanting. You can hear the various like festivities kind of happening. Magnus, you hear the unmistakable sound of fists on flesh. Someone has erected a little like holy fighting ring around here to do some days of battle leading up to the festival. But as you enter the crowd, as you come into the town proper, Magnus, you hear a voice. You hear somebody shout from a distance through the crowd. You hear someone shout, Magnus, is that you? And you see the crowd kind of part, and some short person is pushing their way towards you. Do you recognize the voice?
No, I don't think I do. I think I've been so distracted. I think it's like pulls me out.
Okay. So everybody hears somebody calling Magnus's name. Does anybody do anything before this person arrives?
I watch Magnus very carefully. Just to sort of work out and waiting for someone to let slip a lie, basically. I don't trust him.
Good paladin mindset. Everybody's lying. Everyone's lying. They're all evil. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the crowd parts enough for someone to push their way through. And Magnus, when you see this person who obviously like recognizes you and knows you from somewhere, do you put the voice and the face together, or is this a stranger to you that somehow knows who you are?
No, I think once he sees the face of this person, I think Magnus has been around a long time. He's seen a lot of people, and I think he's sort of a bit like an elephant in that he always remembers things once he sees them. So he recognizes this person for sure immediately.
Okay. All right, and who are they? Who is this person to you?
This person is my nephew.
Nice. Okay.
Grovel is his name.
Grovel.
Perfect.
Okay.
I love it. So Grovel Igneous?
Grovel Igneous, yes.
Okay.
The son of my brother.
Boulder? Okay.
Cement.
Yeah.
There's not really
mother
good
granite.
naming schemes going on in this game.
And I
I'm very
big fan.
impressed.
and I greet Grovel with the traditional dwarven Bolocks embrace. Sort of mutter the words of greeting in his ear.
Yeah. So you embrace the stony form of Grovel Ignis, who you haven't seen in some time, right? So Grovel has grown up. When last you saw, he was a mere little pebble, but now has grown into an adult and seems to have taken on the same task as you. He's wearing the same robes that you are, though his are somewhat newer and less dust covered. And and he smiles, and you see this younger dwarf, embrace Magnus, and the two of them kind of grumble at each other in Dwarven. And he says, "Uncle, or your friends, have you come for the festival? Did you find a stone?"
The name's Dogma. Cassius Dogma. Nice to meet you.
And Grovel turns, and you're about to have an experience that I think Cassius has had many times. Does this person recognize you as the first son of the God Emperor Dogmar?
No, I think they all think it's Douglas. I'm always sort of brushed under the carpet. No one knows
you're
who
the
Cassius is.
forgotten son.
Yeah, the forgotten
Okay.
eldest son
Oh.
on his quest patrol. Yeah.
You were the gimme, right? They
Yeah.
tried, and they're like, this kid didn't work so well. So okay, so
Not the gold.
so he turns, Grovel turns, and when you introduce yourself, and he kind of goes like wide-eyed and then squints at you, and he says, I think I know you from somewhere. You seem so familiar to me. I'm Grovel Igneous, and he comes up and puts out a hand.
Mm-hmm. I give him a really firm handshake just so he knows that I am a paladin and not a cleric.
So as you squeeze his hand, he looks over at you, Magnus, kind of like, "Ooh, your friend's very strong," and as if you had made him that way. And then he turns to Nipnops and Mayfly, and he like reaches back and rubs his neck, and he's like, that's a relief. Looking somebody in the eye. This guy's a tall drink of water. Who are you two?
I'm trying to like stand really cool like Cassius does. Nipnops. I'm kind of a big deal in this group, so what's up?
I
whisper in his ear, "Don't trust this one."
I think there's like a camera pan over to me, and it's just 1,000-yard stare. Like,
Basically, the muscle and the brains of this whole operation. So
Excellent. Good. Well, you know what? Let's have. I'm going to get you to roll, Nipnops, to impress this poor idiot. Why don't you roll parlay? And I think the leverage here is social. The leverage here is you want this person to believe that you're the coolest, most important part of the group, and
which I am.
And that's what you need. So
do I get a bonus if I also believe that?
No, unfortunately, your reality and actual reality is irrelevant. Okay. So
a 7.
you rolled, you got a 7. So they're gonna ask you to do something, and if you do it, then he'll believe you. So Greg, you want to call him Grover. Groville, he turns and looks at you. He's a Muppet also. He turns and looks at you, and he sees your attire. What about Nipnops screams like wizard? What is it about you that is like, I cast spells? Is it like a funny hat? Is it your robes? Do you have a giant book? Like, what about it indicates that you're a wizard?
It's definitely my clothing, 100%. Yeah. Because I haven't literally, I was arrested in my like wizardy clothes, right? And then when they were like, guess what? You're going on a trip with this guy, this tall drink of milk, and gave me those exact same clothes back. And I'm just like,
they just gave you the plastic bag that they put your clothes in when you got thrown in jail.
Yeah.
Okay, so
they
you're
left my watch
wearing
in there. Yeah.
slightly out of date wizard robes, and
They're like they're all busted, man.
Yeah, so Grover looks at them, and you see him looking, and he squints and he says, "You some kind of sorcerer or something? Do a trick. Come on, show me some magic."
Surely magic is to be used responsibly. Wouldn't you agree?
He looks at Magnus as if like, Magnus, come on, man, your friends let me down.
Yeah, I look up to Nipnops and say, "Do the thing, man.
Dude.
Just show him."
Observe. This sweet, adorable uncle of yours, I go and like pinch his cheeks. In a moment, he will vanish. Boop, and I cast invisibility.
All right, go ahead and cast a spell there, Nipnops. See how it goes. Okay, so that's the spell you're going to cast. You should have a move in your sheet called Cast a Spell.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, go ahead and roll that. And we'll see.
Cast
what
a
happens.
spell.
Yeah, there it is. All right. So you got a 7, which means you do indeed turn Magnus Igneous invisible, which triggers the requirement of your last move, meaning you've just impressed Grovel Igneous so very much. And he believes your story about how cool you are, but you got to pick one of those three things on the results. What happens on the 7 and 9 there?
Okay. You draw unwelcome attention. The spell disturbs the fabric of reality. Or after it is cast, the spell is forgotten, and you can't cast the spell again until you prepare spells.
Which one would you like?
I'll draw unwelcome attention. You said it's busy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll draw attention. Yeah.
Good. Perfect.
I really wanted this guy to think I'm cool.
Yeah, so you do. You succeed completely. You watch as Grovel Igneous has his suspicions proven, and he claps politely, and he's like, "Oh, very impressive, very nice." But he's not the only one that notices this act of magery, and ominously, someone else nearby who you definitely don't want noticing you does. I don't think Nipnops is aware of it. Maybe Mayfly, if you're kind of keeping an eye out on things.
Sure.
You know what, Mayfly? Let's have you roll Defy Danger real quick, and then Magnus, we'll figure out what you're gonna do now that you're invisible. So Mayfly, roll Defy Danger and Defy Danger with your, I think with your wisdom. In this case, Mayfly, to see if you notice what's going on.
7.
7. Okay. All right. So you stumble, hesitate, or flinch. I'll offer you a worse outcome, a hard bargain, or an ugly choice. So here's the thing. I'm going to give you an option. Okay. So you can either notice somebody noticing Nipnops, someone like bad noticing Nipnops is causing a bit of a scene, or I'll give you a clue about the whereabouts of the stone. One of the two.
I'll notice who it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when you're looking around, you're keeping an eye out on things. Nipnops, Magnus, and Cassius are all sort of focused in, talking to Grovel. But you notice that over in the direction of this very sad-looking, kind of dilapidated shrine to the God Emperor, there is a priestess, and she's standing with a broom on the steps, and she's scowling at Nipnops, and she seems almost to be angrier at Cassius. And she's looking at Cassius like she doesn't know him, but he's like a huge failure and she hates him. So there's this lady, this old nun standing in the stairs like, magic.
Mom.
And you clearly made a bad impression. So Magnus, you're invisible now. Nipnops turns you invisible and everyone's very impressed and clapping at the trick. Do you want to do anything while you're suddenly unable to be seen?
So I feel like this is something that we actually do a lot on our travels. It's part of this trick I play to try and get people to join my group. Is I get turned invisible and then do things with rocks, and so like juggle them or make them float. And so I immediately go into my routine of kind of doing some spooky rock magic, being invisible and juggling the pebbles that are around me, purely to just impress my nephew.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it works. He's very impressed.
Wow.
Yeah. So he claps. You do your little routine, and then I assume Nipnops, you bring Magnus back from invisibility.
Yeah, it's always that's the clunkiest part of the routine because I'm always like, and that's been where are you? Trying to find them.
Yeah, I love it. You're still working on the
Yeah.
stage directions for this trick. Excellent.
I mean,
Okay.
it's weird. You have to really trust your partner. So
Grovel says once the sort of scene that little like juggling bit is over, he's very impressed. He really likes you, Nipnops. God knows why. I guess it's the magic. And he says to Magnus,
I'm charming. Thank you.
He says, Mayor Many Pouches has all kinds of exciting things planned for the next 3 days. Did you need somewhere to? And he looks around us conspiratorially to store your stone safely until the offering time.
Agnes looks around just to sort of get a scope of the surrounding area and who's around them, and says, "There's been an incident. My stone."
Oh, that sounds serious. What happened?
3 nights ago, my stone was taken by raiders. They caught me asleep and muted my spells. I was hoping to try and find some information here.
And he looks very concerned at this information. He says, "Oh, Uncle, that's terrible. And you think your stone is somewhere here in Lowfield?"
I don't know, but I can feel something in the stones.
What do you mean? Of
Right,
course
that's where
it's
you
here.
feel these things.
Where else? These people took the time to take a rock. Where else would they go with it? Sorry. I know, ma'am. Sorry. God. I really love rocks here. Jesus.
And he turns to you, Cassius, and he says, "Well, we should go straight to the mayor. He'll know what to do. He's a human like you. You could talk to him."
Well, I'd rather ask my own questions, I think. But tell me, what do you know? This is me trying to suss out some truths from you, I think.
Right? Yeah, because you can't lie. Right.
I don't know who you are really.
Is Grovel Igneous, Magnus? Is your nephew generally like a well regarded dwarf? Is he an honest young cleric, or does Grovel have like a dark streak to him? I mean, you haven't seen him in a while, but you know his
I haven't
parents.
seen him in a while. I think he's a good kid. My brother and I, whereas I went on the more of the sort of the pilgrim's route and lived on my own. My brother continued in the sort of the higher ranks of our community, and his son has kind of been a part of that, and is well regarded. But he's still young. Yeah. I mean, in dwarven years, he's still just out of his teenage years.
Okay. So Cassius, you turn to him and you what did you ask? What do you know? So he says, well, I mean, I've lived in Lowfield for a while now. I moved out here after the last festival. It was just so beautiful. I couldn't leave. And I got to tell you, I'm addicted to the fish sandwiches. There's this place down by the hole. Ooh, they're delicious. They put a little mustard on them. Anyway, we can talk about food later. Or we
can talk about food now.
And so Cassius, you very quickly feel that this conversation is about to spiral out of your control and become about fish sandwiches if you don't do something quickly.
I push Nipnops out of the way and say, we'll get food when we're all hungry.
Hey, Dad.
Because I really just need to know what Grovel knows. And actually the question, I changed the question and I say, do you know of any other stone thieves around? Has this happened before?
Well, it's complicated because technically, right up until the offering, all bets are off. Volox is a god who respects stick-to-itiveness and go-getters and people who are willing to do whatever it takes to get the perfect stone. So, yeah, every once in a while, somebody, instead of going out into the world and seeking their own stone, they'll just wait around here for somebody to come by with one and then try to steal it from him. But it's really frowned upon. I gotta say, we haven't heard any rumors about thieves. Not this year, anyway.
Not yet. Until now.
When he said, he's like, I guess so. Should I start asking around? I could tell everybody that you were here and that you were looking for the stone and that maybe it was stolen. That could help, right?
No. Magnus sort of slams his fist down on his leg. I guess there's no table around. This is like,
I mean, you can slam your fist in the empty air if you want to do that.
On the rock in his hand, crushes it.
Where does he keep getting those from?
This stone is a winner. They know to keep it safe. We will have to be clever to get it back. So keep this between us. And he asks if his father.
He nods and looks over at Nipnops like, Nipnops, you're obviously the one in charge, but I'm listening to my uncle and I'm in the conspiracy now. We're all on the same team, and he's nodding this is going to be an exciting adventure. And he says, he says to you, he's like, well, so the first thing we're going to need is somewhere to investigate from. I mean, you could stay at my house if you want.
No, Magnus declines. He says he will find his own accommodation. You think he needs time to think and dwell, and even possibly communicate with the god to try and get some guidance.
And that's the thing, right? You've been on the road a long time, and now you've passed through the Pilgrim's Valley. You're in the town now, and you can almost feel that sort of tension in the air, leading up to the offering. You can feel the sort of excitement that everybody is feeling leading up to this moment of truth. And so, it would be nice to kind of commune and get a moment to rest. But for now, you're out in the grounds, and everybody is out doing things.
And so I know this town well. I think so. Can I find where would we go? I know there's inns around. There's the fighting pits, obviously. What are the other points of interest?
Yeah, why don't we get you to make a move? Why don't you spout lore? Because Magnus knows all about this town, but Asa just heard about it. So let's see what Magnus knows that we don't. So on your sheet, just go ahead and click on spout lore, and there you go.
6.
Perfect. Good. So this is a failure. 6 or less is a miss. But this is the other way. This is the other way you get experience points. You get a point of experience every time you fail. So You go
There
ahead
we
and
go.
take that point of experience.
Right.
You know absolutely the best place to stay. There is only one place that is worth staying here. Everybody else gets suckered into going to these corny like Holiday Inn kind of places, but you know that there is this one excellent tavern. It was built basically when this place was discovered. It's the oldest tavern around, and that is the only place worth staying. You should definitely take your friends there.
All right. The old stone.
Dwarves are not very creative, and it's really hard
God.
to translate Dwarven into common, right? So
Right.
old
Everything just seems
stone.
like it's stone. Yeah.
The
Okay,
broken
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I guess I would lead the way. If we all down to maybe we want to get some food there. I mean, I'm probably going on my own bit. I don't know whether my gang are going to follow.
What kind of time is it? Have we established that? We just arrived and
I
is
think
it
it's
getting
morning,
late?
right?
Morning.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't.
Right.
I hadn't really thought about it. It's
Yeah.
daytime,
Okay.
so there's still
Okay.
some day left.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Wait,
so you want
do
to
they have this-
head down to Ye Old Stone.
How's the fish down at the old stone, eh?
Oh, it's the crunchiest.
Crunchy fish. Oh,
Mm.
And the beds are the hardest.
I sense an
Yes, a
overwhelming.
traditional dwarven inn.
can
Hardest
tell he's
beds
really
in
being
Five
honest.
Kingdoms.
Very
You
truthful
shouldn't
here.
have us spoiled to this degree.
And then Magnus remembers they also have beds for the soft skins.
And
Thank
pillows.
God, because I'm very soft and very handsome. You guys don't need to say it. I'll say it for myself.
I can sense that you believe that.
That's true. That's great. Yeah, Cassius, to your point, that wasn't a lie as far as Nipnops believes it.
How long
Since
until
you
you
think
start
you're
to
hot
believe
stuff.
it too, Cassius?
Soon my truth will become yours. Excellent. All right. So you lead Magnus, you
pull
lead
away?
your
Okay.
friends.
I think as we
Yeah.
pull away, I kind of like Devil Angel pop up on Cassius's shoulder. My head just pops up into view, and like the back of my hand turns your head towards where the woman was gawking at the spell that Nipnops cast, and I whisper in your ear like, "We've caught attention."
Yeah, and Cassius, when you look over, you see this old nun with her broom, and she points a wizened finger at you accusingly, like, "I see you. I know what you're doing."
Can I spout lore as well? Do I know anything about this? Does
Absolutely.
Cassius know who this is? All right, let's do this.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a chance. Absolutely.
I'm just gonna run to the bathroom.
Sure.
On the spout lore,
Yeah,
it
go ahead-
says
so go ahead and roll spout.
intelligence +0. So all my
Yeah, so you don't
Intelligence
add any
-1.
extra stuff. You should just be able to click it and then go
Okay.
okay because there's no additional bonuses. It should
And so
just,
all of the
just roll
modifiers
for
are
you.
done automatically, right? It will do
Yeah, it'll
-1.
just grab from your character
Okay.
sheet.
Oh no.
Oh no, that is the worst possible roll you could make. You rolled 2 ones on the 2d6. You have a -1 on your intelligence. Excellent. So
I love that bit of experience.
yeah, you mark a point of experience. I think that you recognize this woman, this nun, this old wizened nun, but you don't recognize her as an old woman. You've seen this woman before. You recognize her face, but she was a young nun then, like much younger. You've seen her in like tapestries that your father had in his study. Your father knew this woman when she was young, and so you recognize her, but you don't know where from.
Hmm.
I think you and your brother have always had your suspicions of the like hot nun tapestries that your dad had hanging in his study, but you've never seen one in real life. But in real life, that was a long time ago. So now she's ancient. So you recognize her.
I get a real chill up my back because I remember the tapestries and the games we used to play.
Do I notice like the hair stand up on the back of his neck?
I've got armor on.
Oh, okay.
So, no,
All right. Then no. Then no.
no, I'm keeping that all,
He is
but all my hair's going under wraps. Yeah.
Okay.
The armor is both physical and emotional. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't want to break stride. I sort of I keep walking on. I follow the group.
Okay.
And I don't think Mayfly realizes that that freaked me out a bit.
Yeah, I don't. You just kind of
Yeah.
keep walking. So I think Mayfly is of the understanding that it doesn't matter. So we just continue.
Okay.
Yeah. So the old woman, the nun, scowls one last time, angrily brushes some dust off the stairs of her dilapidated shrine, and goes back inside, slamming the door behind her.
Mm.
So we diagonal wipe, we crossfade to the outside of the quote unquote best inn in town, the Old Stone, and I think that it is half of a squat stone building. It's 2 stories. It has a wooden roof, and the other half of it has fallen into the hole. So it is perched right on the edge of this enormous, massive sinkhole, and it probably used to be an entire building, but part of it has just tumbled down into the darkness. And so there's an open wall on one side, and the rest of the tavern is inside. And we can see all around the outside edge of this hole that there are like docks, basically wooden structures that extend out over the hole. And Nipnops, you see the fishermen operating off of these docks. They're like lowering nets down into the hole to capture these flying fish. But yeah, Magnus, the last time you saw this bar, it was not half in the abyss. It seems like something has shifted, and then part of the bar has tumbled into the darkness.
As the sign
the rest of the bar still looks good.
Used to say "Ye Old Stone," now it just says "Stone." It's kind of like
Yeah, right.
the whole left side.
The ye old part it's gone now. Yeah.
This is the place.
Yes. Magnus looks at it. He sort of calls back through his memory, trying to remember whether it did look like this the last time he did, and it sort of confuses him a bit. Nonetheless, he strides forward to try and find someone inside, because I imagine he knows the owner quite well.
I think Mayfly's arm goes around Magnus. And, oh, this place looks great, Magnus. Let's go inside and get you that morning drink. And I think I start like walking up. Cassius knows this is 100% a lie. Just right, the first word out of his mouth is just like lie. Like,
Yeah. So this is the question, Cassius. How do you know when someone is lying? How does the divine emperor of humanity, aka your dad, how does he let you know that someone is speaking a mistruth?
I think it's one of those, like, I'm about to sneeze, but I don't sneeze feelings.
that must be awful then. Oh my, that's terrible.
I quite like it. I get something from people lying to me when
That's weird.
I've never had a real sneeze in my life.
I love the idea of a lie detecting paladin who has a false truth fetish. Like, oh yes, tell me I'm not the handsomest paladin you've ever met. You're so weak and ugly, Cassius. Ah, yes. Tell me the earth is flat.
Maybe that's why he keeps me around.
You're addicted to liars.
I just constantly lie.
Yeah, so when Mayfly says that, like, yeah, let's go inside and get you an innocent and totally not poisoned drink. Let's go. You feel that tickle in your sinuses, that like
And I'm used to feeling that signal every time Mayfly brews Magnus his favorite tea.
Yeah,
I get that itch at my nose.
Yeah.
So
I imagine I'm still feeling the effects of yesterday's tea. So I just smile warmly at Mayfly and say that would be nice. Pat him on the back.
Mayfly, your best buddy in the whole world.
I look over my shoulder towards Cassius, and like the sun glints on my crooked tooth. So I smile at him. We just walk in, me and Magnus.
Excellent. Okay.
All right.
Now, Magnus, you said you know the owner of the formerly Old Stone and now just the Old or the Stone or Stone. But you know the owner, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the person that runs this place. Are they young, old? What's their deal? Are they a dwarf, a human? What do we know about them?
It's a dwarf called Bridget.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Bridget is as old as Magnus is, and has been in the community for a long time, and seen many stone festivals throughout the ages.
Excellent. Yeah. So her name is Bridget, which is she's named after like a small bridge, I guess. And and so when she sees you, a smile. It's a delayed blast pun. Sorry. So when you come in, she's clearing a table from the like morning meal, which you've just missed, and she looks up and a smile breaks her craggy face, and she says, "Magnus," and comes over. She sets down the cups and plates and comes over and gives you a hug. And I think Mayfly, you know her too. You know Bridget as well. Does she like you or not so much?
I think when I stole the house, I threw extravagant parties. So people within the city know me as like the party goer or the party animal or something like that. So maybe that's how she knows me. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. That's for her to decide, but that's definitely how she knows me, as the person that threw the parties at the house on top of the mountain or the rock hill. Whatever dwarf theme you want to go with.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So she looks at Mayfly and then looks at you, Magnus. Is like, "Oh, I didn't know the two of you knew each other. You're here for the festival, I presume."
Oh yes, Mayfly brews the finest tea this side of the mountains. And
she turns to you, Mayfly. She says, "Is that so? I'd love to try it."
We'll see if we have any left today. Magnus gets first brew.
Mayfly was just about to whip some up. Why don't you get the kettle on?
Oh yes, of course. I give like a hearty squeeze to Magnus before I depart from him and go find a kettle.
Yeah, she picks up the tray and she heads back into the kitchen, and you notice like this place is like, it's not busy, certainly. They have half the tables they used to. It's a little drafty. There's like a cold wind blowing through here through the missing wall. But there are a few people, mostly locals, kind of sitting around the table. Nipnops, you spot an old dwarven man eating a crunchy fish sandwich. He's got little fish bits in his beard.
I want one.
And he's just sitting there like, and you just hear the like his big stony teeth taking bites out of that sandwich.
Eat the whole head, like the big old eyeballs and everything. So I'm just like, what is that like?
It's the best bit.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
I think I sort of lead Nipnops by the shoulder over to where they're. How are they cooking them? I'm imagining with a skewer over a fire and sort of homemade bread.
Japanese style.
Yeah.
Just turn them over. They have a hibachi in the back. Yeah, I'm into it. Grilled fish sandwich. And there's like food smells coming from the kitchen, and it seems to you, Cassius, that despite the potential architectural failings of this place, there is no one here that triggers your kind of like danger sense, right? Everybody around here seems like quiet and not really into causing trouble. So in a way, Magnus may have unintentionally led you to the right place, right? This may be a decent place for you to rest for the time being.
I turn to Cassius. I'm like, hey, could you like grab me a fish? And I'm just gonna go take a whiz like real fast. Is that cool? I mean, you don't gotta come with me, right? Like I can do that by myself, right? You don't want to like watch me do that.
I sort of open up Nipnop's bag of padiums and check there's enough, and so I'm using sort of the allowance that she has for this quest, and I make sure that both mine and her fish come out of her allowance, because mine allowance is not.
Just because I gotta pee? Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't even talk about this. I just jangle her allowance and walk off to go get the fish.
Fine, whatever.
Yeah. So Nibnops, you are able to go and try to find what's left of the bathrooms. And I think if you do go into the back hall, there are posters on both walls, some ancient, some new, all kind of overlaid over one another in a sort of promotional palimpsest about events at the church of Volok. There is an ongoing fighting tournament in town leading up to the offering. There's all of these posters, and then you get to near the end of the hall, and it's got an arrow, and it says bathrooms this way, and then on the other area it has a point, another arrow, and it says gaping hole, do not enter, and it has a point in the other direction. And when you turn to look, the hallway just ends, and there's just the open air on that side.
Okay.
There are bathrooms back here, but I suspect you weren't actually sneaking away for this purpose.
I am going to go to the bathroom because otherwise he'll know that I lied to him. I've learned. I've been with this asshole for a while. So I actually go to the bathroom, but while I'm going to the bathroom, I want to attempt to cast sort of a widespread detection spell to see if I can feel, because the forbidden magic felt different.
Yeah.
Because it canceled out my spells, right? And I could feel that. I want to see if I can tell where in town that feeling is, if someone has casted a forbidden spell in this town or is currently using it.
Okay.
So while I'm peeing, I would like to also cast a detection spell. There are weird cactus workarounds. I just doing my
I just love the idea of Nibnops just standing at the urinal, just gesticulating magically.
Hey guys, don't worry about it. This isn't dangerous. I'm just doing a thing.
You look over, there's a guy in the urinal next to you, like, what are you doing? Yeah, all right, okay. So you want to cast a spell? You have a spell for this?
I have detect magic.
All right. Cool. Well, why don't you, go ahead and, like you did before, click detect magic into the chat so we can take a look at what it does. And then go ahead and cast the spell. So before you cast the spell, Nibnops, what sense do you use to detect magic? Is it hearing, smell? Do you taste magic? Do you see it?
Because the magic had kind of like a crackling, like electric. It's like a smell, like when you're right up against a TV. Like that kind of a smell. So yeah, I'm trying to heighten that sense.
Okay.
When you're right up against, the smell of,
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I don't know if I know that feeling because I can't remember the last time I pressed my face against
People
a TV.
in chat are confirming that
it is ozone, yes, but I don't know. I would have said lightning, but yeah, okay, that's fine.
I haven't smelled lightning. I've just smelled TVs.
So wand at the ready. Nibnops begins to cast detect magic. Make that cast
both
spell
wands
roll.
at the ready. Hilarious. Okay.
Hey.
Hot damn.
Whoa.
Hot damn. It is the opposite of that spout lore roll. You did it. This is a great spell. So the spell is cast. You don't forget it. You can cast again later. And you begin sniffing at the air. And I think you can sort of smell this faint forbidden magic odor among other odors in this ancient bathroom. But there is definitely a clear. And again, I think the dwarf standing at the urinal next to you sees you sniffing the air, and he makes a face like, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. He puts his hands up, zips and walks out like this weird elf in the bathroom, and smelling me. Yeah.
Okay.
So Nibnops, you have enough of like a scent hound. You have enough of a clue to sort of follow the trail. Now, while Nibnops is in the bathroom casting spells and waving his wand around, Cassius, Magnus, and Mayfly, I know you have some business to attend to in here. What are you three doing?
I'm brewing up a special cup of the morning tea that Magnus loves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm
Magnus tea.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I don't know if that requires any rolls or anything, but
Yeah. No, I don't think so. Let me look at Poisoner. I don't think there's anything you actually need to
I think
do.
it just tells you.
Golden Root, target treats next creature as a trusted ally. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you're measure. You go into the back and you're measuring out the dose from your vials, and yeah, I think Bridget is like making some food for everybody at the table. So Magnus and Cassius, the two of you are sitting at a table in the main room. There are some humans and some dwarves here, and nobody's really like talking loudly. But you have a moment where Mayfly and Nipnops are away. What are the two of you talking about when we fade in before Mayfly comes back with the tea?
So I think this is a time I quite enjoy because I know Cassius has an interest in my deity. I've sensed it.
That's right.
And so we are sat down at this stone table. You know, everything's stone. And of course,
I'm interested in deities in general. I don't think I have a particular interest in stones. I think. Okay.
Nonetheless, I see your interest in deities as an in.
Yeah.
So I'm sat with you with my hand at the top of the stone table, and I'm just listening for the sort of the whispers of the earth, and asking you if you can hear them. Can you hear them? And I take your hand. In fact,
I'm just like, this is not the first time he's put my hand on stones. And I play in because I want something to happen, but I know it's not. And so I put my hand on the stone table, and I just say, "It's cold." And other than that, I get nothing.
Okay. At this time, then I'm going to cast one of my ropes. Can a rope be cast without any kind of verbal or sort of gesture?
What road are you? What are you casting?
It is called light, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm essentially getting the table to have it give off this faint glow underneath our hands. And I tell you, this is the power that our gods give me. The power.
And I know you're lying. Straight away, right?
Well, I don't know, because my power is granted through my deity. Is it as a cleric?
Yeah. You pray for spells, and the great Lord of the Deep below grants them to you. Let's see though. So you're like, this is the power granted to me by the stones, and you begin to focus your concentration. You pray for the blessing of light. Roll cast a spell.
Okay.
Magnus. Okay. Yeah. Let's see how it goes, because you do still have to roll for it. So there may be a chance that it goes.
Okay. So
horribly wrong.
Here we go. All right. Oh.
Let's see. So you can ignore that roll. This is just the description. This isn't the casting of the spell. Okay. This is just the description.
Like,
so then, So this is just the description of the spell. So in your moves, you'll have a move called cast a spell.
Right.
And then you can click that just into the main area. Yeah. So same as Nipnops has been doing.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Good. So nice. Yeah, Magnus, you and I think it's almost, it's not that it's easier, but the feelings of faith, that sense of being empowered by your god is quite strong here. This is a holy place for a reason, and you feel the connection immediately to your god, and your effect. You create a bright light. And what object are you touching that glows? Is it the table itself?
It's the stone table itself. Yeah. Sort of the surface. That was sat at.
Nice. The table starts glowing. I think I've still got my eyes closed, but I can see sort of beyond my eyelids that the room's getting brighter, and I sort of take a peek. And then I'm like, can you teach me how to do that, please?
Oh, yes, I can. With many years of training, that is.
So be it. But I feel like my magic doesn't lay in stones. I think I need to look further into what's going on with clerics in general. I don't have an affinity with rocks. I'm quite adamant about that.
But where does the house sit upon which you live, and the cows upon which you eat? They live off the land and they live off the stone.
I think my house is built upon golden foundations dug by the Dogby Empire for many a millennia. Not
yeah, like Cassius literally lives in an enormous golden castle that was conjured wholesale from the divine nature of the universe by his father's father's father. Right? It was just like made from space.
Under that, right?
Yeah, right. Maybe there's stone somewhere around there, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm not convinced by that one.
Well, I think Magnus continues to explain the connection between not just regular stones like boulders, but all the minerals and all the ores and all the beautiful gems, which I'm sure the Dogma Empire craves.
You begin reciting the litany of stone. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So Mayfly, that's what you come back to. You see. Yeah, let me tell you the story of Saint Antimony, who was glorious. And yeah, so Mayfly, you come back, and Magnus is reciting this mineralia to Cassius. The table is glowing faintly, and you've got your tea in hand as you come back from the kitchen.
Okay. I think I set the tea and saucer down in front of Magnus, and I do quite love your stories, Magnus, of rock and stone. Look at Cassius, and you're like, lie.
No,
like
Cassius, you suddenly feel the need to grab a tissue from somewhere. Like,
yeah. What was this story about, Magnus? Please, I would love to know. And I'd sit there and cross my arms, waiting for you to drink the tea.
There's only the tales of the many gods of minerals and ores of the earth, and I thank you for the tea and give you a wink as I take my first sip.
Magnificent. Mm-hmm. And then he winks back at you, and then he winks with the other eye, Cassius.
Just winking all around.
Lots of finger guns happening right now.
Cassius doesn't know what winking is at all. He doesn't understand.
He doesn't clue it. Okay.
Yes. It is forbidden among the human empires to close only one eye. You must close both in deference to the emperor. Close not one eye, for it is an insult.
No, I will explain that later to you. Now, where did Mr. Knops go?
So meanwhile, Nipnops, you were emerging from the bathroom. Now, big question, so we can get a good handle on Nipnops' character. Do you wash your hands after casting the spell?
I mean, all he did was cast a spell.
All I did was cast a spell. Yeah.
But you will be judged.
So probably not
harshly if you walk out. I mean, that dwarf saw that you were in there.
I did pee. I did also pee, but like my hands were just casting the spell, right? So like. Did I need to really?
Both hands were casting the spell. Nice.
Yeah. I've got a lot of skill. Also, I was reading one of the books at my old school was talking about how the magical particles that are part of fecal matter manage to travel all over the place, regardless of whether or not we wash our hands.
Is Mr. Knops an anti-vaxxer? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that where we're going with this?
That's definitely good. It's fine. Nipnops has found exciting new uses for the spell Mage Hand, and we're good to go. So Nipnops, the scent of magic in the air, you follow it out of the bathroom, and you can smell it kind of like floating. Do you seek it out, or do you wait your friends and you're like, hey, I smell some magic, let's go check it out? Or are you gonna do it yourself?
I think that I can't do anything on my own. I probably stood there for a second, thinking to myself, "Can I get away? Would he notice? He always notices. Of course, he knows."
Can you know what? If you're gonna take a second to kind of like reconnoiter the situation, roll discern realities for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. Great.
That's not
This
good.
moment of hesitation is going to cost you. Mark a point of experience.
Okay.
So while you're standing here, like smelling the magic in the air, you hear above you on the floor up above, you hear a thump. And then you hear two voices. And they seem to be arguing about something. You can't make out the words from where you are, but someone in the room above you, there is a loud thump and then some like arguing. They're not shouting, and they're kind of like stage whisper arguing. Like they're angry enough that there's some volume, but they're trying to stay
Right.
quiet.
Yeah, I'll ignore
You do.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go back to
sounds
the
great.
table.
There's a sense of that's where the magic is as well. They seem unlinked to the unit.
Yeah, I
Hard
don't.
to
I don't
say
smell the
right
magic
now.
that direction, right?
Well, so I imagine that the magic right now is like how a cartoon shows like a bloodhound following a trail, like it's floating
Like a
in the air. And
yeah.
And like you smell
Like,
it
I would
and you
have to
like
follow
lift
it
off
to
of your
really
toes
know.
and kind of float around. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Hanna-Barbera detect magic. So yeah, I think you have the beginning of the trail, but you would have to follow it to the source rather than just like it's all around you.
Points to it. Yeah.
Can I ask? Does the trail proceed back where I was, where the table is, or would I have to? Is it in
From where
another
you're standing currently, the trail leads to the stairs. They lead upstairs to the second floor. Yeah.
I go upstairs.
Okay. All right. So Cassius, Nipnops has been gone a while now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This occurs to you as Mayfly and Magnus keep closing one eye at each other. But it occurs to you like, oh, Nipnops has been in that bathroom a long time.
I think
what do you do?
I know that he's already relieved himself through our connection.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That sounds like a
And-
terrible
and-
side effect of that bond. Like, yes, he's peed. I can tell.
And forgotten to wash his hands, may I add.
You can feel the moral judgment. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Moral
don't have
decision.
to.
And I think also I can sense that. Actually, I think I can sense that your agenda's changed and you're doing something that you haven't
So I
requested.
think it's reasonable for you to try to access the connection between the two of you for that, but I think there's a chance that Nipnops can resist or can obfuscate that, because it's not necessarily, you didn't go into the bathroom intending to go upstairs. You're like, I'm going to go pee. No. We're going to leave it open after that, and we'll see what happens. So why don't you, Cassius, defy danger? And the danger is you lose track of Nipnops, and you're going to roll with your either intelligence or wisdom, whichever you prefer.
Okay. It will be wisdom. For sure.
Yeah. So if you defy danger with your
Okay.
okay, good. So you got a 7. So there is a cost here. Now, Nipnops, if you would like to, because Cassius gets a 7, which means it's a success. If you'd like to interfere, if you have some way of like shorting the line or introducing some noise to the signal, you can do that to make this a failure and to slip away from Cassius if you want to try. You want to do that?
I will be aware of that though when
Yeah.
You'll be aware that the link is broken. Yeah, that there's some static there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah, you're just gonna let it stand. Okay. All right. So yeah, Cassius, you detect, I think, and because I think it's a 7, there is a bargain here, a hard choice. So you detect that Nipnops is maybe like doing something untoward. You feel your parolidin senses tingling. And at the same time, the front door to the bar opens and a dark cloaked figure enters. They're not dwarf size, they're human size. And immediately all three of you feel a sense of like, oh, this person's bad news. Like the soundtrack changes. Suddenly it's like in a minor chord. This place seems darker than it was before. So they come in and you see this person. There's some wind blowing their cloak around villainously, but also Nipnops is up to some trouble. What are you going to do, Cassius?
I was just looking at discern realities and what the effects of the things I can choose are. Okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, and you
go
are-
for discern
You are
realities.
compelled. You're compelled by your quest to like take a minute
Yeah.
and like figure out what's happening. So if you'd like to discern realities, you're welcome to.
And then I can choose my questions after. Let's find out. Oh, there we
Okay.
go. So
All right.
that means I can ask 3 questions, right?
Yes.
Or-
Yeah.
So what
What
does
would you-
take +1 forward when acting on the answers mean?
Yeah. So when you take +1 forward, it means you get a +1 bonus to the next roll you make, so long as
Yeah.
you are acting on the answers of the questions you ask. So if you ask me what is about to happen, and I say you're about to be shot in the chest, and you're like, I dive out of the way, you get a +1 to your diving out of the way roll. So it's using the information you learned to.
All right, that makes
So yeah,
sense.
what questions
All
do
right,
you wanna
what's really in control here in
Mm.
terms of why is that person, this figure, giving that effect
Yeah.
to the 3 of us?
So who and what are really in control here is the dwarven god of what lies beneath, right? This is all happening in accordance to that god's plan, and this leading towards conflict is exactly what they want. The Lord below wants everybody to fight so that only the strongest survive, and so this mounting tension you're feeling is a result of the divine presence in this place.
I think that possibly is my first awareness of another god other than my father as well. So that's going to have some ramifications. Think about that.
Yeah,
what
your
here
divine
is
Geiger
useful
counter starts ticking.
or valuable to me in terms of protecting myself, and my companions.
What is
What here is
useful or
useful?
valuable to you in terms of keeping your? I mean, you are useful and valuable to yourself and to that cause, right? Like, if there is going to be a fight, you're going to be the one doing the fighting, not Mayfly, not necessarily Magnus. Like, you have faith in yourself in this regard, that
Okay.
that your bulwark of faith should be significant in aiding you.
All right, my last question is, what's about to happen?
Nibnob's about to get the shit kicked out of them.
What?
So it occurs to you like, oh, Nibnobs might be in trouble. We cut upstairs, and Nibnob, as you creep up the stairs, to see what the situation is, you get up there and you see there's a hallway with some doors. There's the ragged edge of where the building used to be, and basically, as soon as you step up into the hall, someone grabs you. You feel hands grab your shoulders, and you get yanked into the nearby room. And in the room, you see a familiar face. The person that has grabbed you and now is threatening you with a knife. You see, is it Timothy or Tamara? Which one?
It's Timothy.
It's Timothy. Okay, so yeah, you see, and he looks world weary and somewhat haggard, but you look into the eyes of Timothy, who grabs you, pulls you into the room, kicks the door shut, slams you against the wall, and points the knife at you. And I think that's the shot before we go to our break. Right, we see Nipnops with a knife pointing at your eyeball and the filthy
And we
face.
both at the
of-
same
of
time go,
Timothy.
you.
Yeah, totally. Perfect. And then we cut to break.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Let's take our 5 to 6 minute break. We'll do that and we'll come back and go for 2 more hours. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more Role Play the Perfect Stone right after this. We'll see you guys then.